Hey everyone, so today I'm going to talk you through the SUVAT constant acceleration equations. I'm going to go over the definitions on the left and then briefly explain the equations on the right. This is just going to be an introduction to these elements, so I will do some examples in later videos. And if you have any comments or questions, just drop them down below. So starting with SUVAT and its definitions, we're going to start with S, which is displacement in meters. So displacement is basically distance, except it's relative to 2 points. That's because with the questions we're going to be working with, we're going to be starting with, for example, a projectile, and it will start in one spot and then end up in another spot. Similar for initial and final velocity. So you can think of velocity as pretty much speed in meters per second, but it's because it's relative to a point, and that's why we call it velocity. The initial velocity is the velocity at the start of the problem, and the final velocity is the velocity at the end of the problem. Acceleration is how fast something is speeding up or slowing down. So that's going to be in meters per second squared, and this can be positive or negative depending whether the object is speeding up or slowing down. And then time is just the duration of the problem. So for example, the projectile might be in the air for 5 seconds. Now with the equations on the right, I'm not going to speak through them all, but they're basically just a combination of these definitions. For example, v equaling u plus at, it is stating that the final velocity is equal to the initial velocity plus acceleration times time. And depending on which question you get and which values you are given, that will determine which equation you will use. So for example, with the top one, v is equal to u plus at. Let's say you're given a question where you're asked to find out the final velocity in meters per second, and you're given the initial velocity, which is u, you're given the acceleration and time. So we know we can use that first equation to work out the final velocity, so we're going to use that equation for that question. Now that's the basic principles. As I said, I will go over some questions in later videos, and if you have any comments or questions, you can just drop them down below. Best of luck with all your maths.